Council meeting to order for July 28th. It's 3 p.m. And I please ask Councillor Wing to read the land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. The town of Innisfail acknowledges that we are meeting on Treaty 7 territory, the ancestral and traditional territory of the Blackfoot Confederacy, Kainai, Piikani, and Siksika, as well as the Tsuut'ina First Nation and Stoney Nakoda First Nation. We acknowledge that this territory is home to the Métis Nation of Alberta, Region 3, within the historical Northwest Métis homeland. We acknowledge the many First Nations, Métis, and Inuit who have lived in and cared for these lands for generations. We are grateful for the traditional knowledge keepers and elders who are still with us today and those who have gone before us. We make this acknowledgement as an act of reconciliation and gratitude to those whose territory we reside on.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Wing. Are there any additions or deletions to the agenda, CEO Becker?
There is, Mayor Barkley. Asking Council consideration for the delegation request, which came in just after the agenda was released, from Trish King, representing the Chamber Legion, to talk to Council about a proposed crosswalk project. So it would be early on your agenda as a delegation.
All right, thank you. Could I please have someone make a motion to adopt the agenda as amended?
I'll make that motion, Mayor Barkley.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Maceras. All in favor? Okay, carried. And I just want to mention that Councillor Heistad is joining us online today. And then we'll move on to the minutes of the regular council meeting for July the 14th. Could I please have someone make a motion to adopt those as presented? Councillor Bates.
I'll move the July 14th minutes as presented.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Carried. And then 3.2, the agenda and priorities meeting minutes for July 21st. Have a motion, please.
I'll make that motion, Mayor Barkley.
All right, thank you. All in favor? Right, carried. Okay, so we will welcome our delegation. Trish King to please come forward and... I'm
sorry, it's actually Trish Proctor.
Well, I know it is, but it's old habits. I see the email as Trish King, and anyway, welcome, Trish. And if you could just turn the microphone on, please.
I think that's the button. Okay, perfect. So I'm here with the Legion here in Innisfail, of course, today. We've been given a grant from Rec and Culture for $1,500 to support what we would like to do with our crosswalk project. They've lovely put a picture up there for us. What we want to do is a memorial crosswalk from the corner of the branch to the cenotaph. So with the red and white squares, a kneeling soldier on each corner, with we will remember them across the sides. We originally talked about doing either a maple leaf or a poppy in the middle. No one wants to drive over those, obviously. The Legion is fully prepared to take on maintenance of this crosswalk for the long term. The only support in regards to that maintenance is if we could borrow the town's stencil, of course, so that it matches, as well as with that doing the crosswalk painting at the same time the town is doing yours, so we don't have to impede traffic any different than when you guys are doing yours. And I guess, is there any questions?
All right. Well, thank you for coming today. Does anybody have any questions for Trish? I don't see any. CEO Becker, did you have any questions or?
Really, the delegation mentioned a grant from the committee that's conditional based on council's approval. So basically, in support of delegation, looking for council support if you wish to advance into discussion today or not, or approving or not approving. I'll leave it to you, council, how you wish to advance it, but your approval is sought today.
Okay. So do you want to do that now, or would you like to put it on the agenda further down? Either.
It's up to council. It's okay. How you wish to.
Sure. Okay. Well, let's do that now. Let's have someone please make a motion that we approve the $1,500 grant. Councillor Maceras.
Sorry, Mayor Barkley. The grant has been approved conditional.
Oh,
so
okay.
It's the project you're looking for support or not.
Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. So, and a motion to approve the project. Councillor Maceras.
Sure. I'll make that motion to approve the project that Ms. Proctor brought with her today at the delegation.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any comments or questions for Trish? Councillor Bates?
So in the past, generically, I've spoken against putting down paint on something that would be driven over and ultimately probably messed up. But if the Legion is willing to maintain this, I can support it.
All right. Thank you. Councillor Maceros?
Thank you, through to Trish. Does the $1,500 grant cover all of the materials and labor that you need to complete this project?
No, the Legion is fundraising for the rest of the money, and then any money over and above what we raise will be put into an account for maintenance for the ongoing years.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Hystad?
Yeah, I'm in favor of this project. Trish, I was just going to ask you, how much is the project going to cost the Legion? I was curious on that side of things, but yeah, I approve this. Thanks.
The company we're working with for the paint is because Denise Lester sits on our board as well, and with them kind of maintaining the mall project, we're working with their parking lot people for the paint. So depending on if this design gets approved, we're probably looking $5,000 to $6,000.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Dunham?
Thank you, Mayor Barkley, through to the delegation. Thank you very much for coming and being on the CSSC committee. I'm happy to see what it actually has become, because that was one of our concerns, was with potentially flag, poppies and that being driven over. And so this, I definitely am in support of this. So thank you very much.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Councillor Wing?
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. Thanks, Trish, for clarifying and for any adjustments to the program as compared to what we had originally heard from. I mean, as I said before, my feeling on this doesn't change from one of my first comments. I think we have a beautiful Legion cenotaph area. I don't think that we should try and copy or emulate what other communities are doing. I don't think we need to. I think they should try and copy us. But I think with the changes that you've made, I can support this now as well. So thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Trish, and fully supportive. And I know about last year, maybe a week before Remembrance Day, I think I got an email from a community member that wanted to do this, and maybe 2 weeks, and I think I said to CEO Becker, do you think we could get this done? He goes, no. So glad to see this coming forward sooner, and I'm sure you'll be very successful in your fundraising efforts with it.
Yeah, Ava was the grade 9 student that came forward, and she's working with us to do this project, so she's been fantastic. This is basically her design as well.
Nice.
So
Oh, that's great. Okay, so we have a motion to approve the project. All in favor? All right, carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming today.
do you want me to shut this off, microphone off?
Okay, we will move into 4.1, and I will ask Director Leith to please welcome our guest today.
So this is to provide Council the opportunity to review and discuss the Innisfil Municipal Detachment Multi-Year Financial Plan. And Sergeant Mike Zuffarelli is here representing our detachment, as Ian is away on vacation currently.
All right, welcome.
Perfect. Thank you for having me, everyone. I'm not really sure how long Ian generally spends going through this, so if I am taking too long, please let me know and I'll speed up. And if I'm going too fast, then let me know likewise and we'll slow down. So the plan is a 5-year plan. It's cost projection for human resources, accommodation, equipment, divisional administration, and other direct or indirect costs, special projects initiatives, and financial summary and projections. We do use our operational priorities that were set by Town Council and our policing board to kind of plan for the costs that are associated with it. Nothing that's really kind of on our operational priorities. It's page 6. Really, it costs more manpower hours than anything, right? So we're not foreseeing a lot of expenses coming from that plan as far as overtime costs or anything else. Some of the costs that are part of the multi-year financial plan are our recruiting. So it is broken down more, where they show the cost of the recruiting per member, cadet training. We don't have any police dog service training program members in the detachments. That's one of the larger costs that we do see under the policing plan. And then there's the accommodations for program change, and then our upkeep for pros and body-worn cameras. So on page 7, it does break it down per capita, that's per member. So it looks to run about $2,400 per member for recruiting, trying to keep the members up to strength as far as new members replacing the ones that are retiring or leaving the career. The cost of the cadet training program runs about $6,000 per year per member. Like I said before, we don't have any police dog service training center costs associated to Innisfail detachment because we don't have a full-time dog handler at the detachment. Police reporting and occurrence system, that's our record system. We've been using that for 20-some years. It's just shy of $1,000 per member to keep that system going. One of the large costs that has recently come up is our body-worn cameras. Those run about $3,000 per year. And that has to do with the storage and essentially the equipment. The way it works is we have a lease, and when new equipment comes up, they replace the body-worn camera, so we're always utilizing the best, I guess, that's to offer, right? And then any maintenance, any repairs, any broken cameras are all replaced through that program. So financial pressures, obviously, everything's getting a little more expensive. The factored in the cost of fuel increasing about 10% per year. And then we have our tumultuous or changing relationship with the U.S. and tariffs that can affect costs of vehicles, tactical gear, firearms, ballistic protection, electronics. A lot of those pieces of equipment come from the States, and unfortunately, that's going to cost us more with the way the current climate is. Let's see, page 8, the breakdown of what specifically the detachment is paying for. Currently for general duty, you pay for 1 sergeant, which is myself, 1 of our 2 corporals, and 7 constables. So that's 9 members on our general duty side, and then there is our school resource officer, Constable Nelson, who is separately funded, and that's that single constable position directly below it. And we have 4 municipal employees, 3 positions, currently funded by the town at the detachment. We have our pros reviewer, which is Sandy. We have our exhibit custodian, e-collision employee, which is Courtney, and then our front counter employee currently is a job share between Brooke and Katie, who both, I think, work 20 hours per week. As far as the next 5 years, there is no plan for growth. So that's a positive. I think we're sitting where we're supposed to be sitting as far as file load and requirements of the detachment. So we're not looking at any increase in members or support staff in this time. At a district level, it looks like they're going to be increasing to 2 support staff, divisional administration. That's more to try to take some of the pressure off of the frontline detachments for having some of the work done at a divisional level at our Leduc and Edmonton locations. Page 10, factoring in regular member pay raises. So the current contract expired on March 31st this year, so there is, again, in contract negotiation, the RCMP is recommending an estimate of 3.5%, but due to the nature of arbitration, it's almost impossible to completely or accurately estimate what they would be looking at. Reservist utilization, before reservists were paid out of posts or out of specific detachments. Now they're looking at it utilizing reservists out of specifically district level or divisional level. But Innisfail, being that it is full currently with regular serving members, we don't have any reservist positions that require attention to that. Accommodations. The building is owned by the RCMP. I want to say it's 35 years old. I'm not sure the exact accurate, but it's in good condition outside of some issues with the furnace. I think that can kind of be expected. The building's in fair condition. There has been some interior renovations and upgrades over the past couple of years to the network internally and some of the other areas. And the weeping tile replacement was completed in 2023, and since then we haven't had any knock on wood, basement floods. The accommodation charges, because it's a federal-owned building, the municipality does pay for a portion of the upkeep. I don't think that's to anyone's surprise. There is a formula that they use to calculate it, but I'm not sure what percentage of the town is considered the actual building, but you guys pay $167 per square foot rental. Fleet, we're hard on our cars, I'll be honest. A lot of the issues come down to, thankfully we haven't had any issues recently, but the members do get rammed on occasion, and when that happens, it does cause significant damage to the vehicles. We had 2 down, I think, last year from that. This conversion to electric operational vehicles, there's no plan currently, thankfully, for that. We do have a hybrid, and the hybrid itself has been a bit of a maintenance nightmare as far as the way the police equipment draws on the hybrid battery. So staying with gas is generally, I think, probably the most fiscally responsible way to go, considerably right now, but we'll see. Let's see. Costs in regards to equipment, page 13. They are looking at portable ballistic shields. Generally, in the past, those were only ever utilized by our emergency response team, but due to the nature of distance and times, they are looking at equipping both detachments with 2 ballistic shields over the next 5 years. Each detachment should get one initially, and then they're going to split the other 3 over the next 3 fiscal years after that. The cost is expensive. They're expecting somewhere upwards around $10,000 per ballistic shield. The hard body armor, before this year actually, may have been March, but we'll say this calendar year. The hard body armor that we were utilizing was kept in the police vehicles, so we had 1 per vehicle. Critical events showed that we needed more than that, essentially, right? Members needed to have their own hard body armor. So we did change up the way they were issued. The current ones that we had in the detachment that were considered in good shape, not past expiry, we issued those directly to the members. Like I took one of those, Ian took one of those. And once those rollout of those hard body armors were done, the remaining members did purchase or get assigned new body armors. Those came out of K Division. They also altered the way that we had our body armor. The hard body armor only had one size, kind of one size fits all. Obviously, that's not going to work. Somebody with a constable hatto and somebody who's 5'2" are not going to ideally wear the same vest, right? So we do offer 3 new sizes, and those ran at a cost of $1,100 per member. But their time period, I want to say, is either 7 to 10 years. So it is an expensive cost up front, but then it'll be trickled off afterwards. Members coming out of depot will be issued those straight out of depot, so they won't be showing up the detachment and having those issued. The extended range impact weapon is another cost that we had at the detachment prior year, so it was the year before. That ran just shy of $5,000. That's if you've ever seen a military movie or anything like that, it's very similar to what they use to shoot out like a smoke grenade, but this thing utilizes a very hard foam round. The idea behind it is it's a less lethal weapon, right? Instead of members having to be close and risking injury, and if it's a lethal scenario, they can utilize that. We do currently have 3 members trained on it. We do have a second one available to us to use too from the provincial traffic unit, so we do have 2 available. One was issued to the detachment. The training on the extended range weapon is relatively expensive. Each shot is about $25 per shot, and about $700 when they do the, sorry, no, the $700 is for the rack. It's 20 rounds in the initial training, so you can do the math on that, and then every year is about 10 more rounds that they have to get trained on, so the cost does run up comparatively to our pistol, which brings us to the next point. Our pistol has been in service since the 90s. It's old. It's still a good pistol, but you can't purchase anymore. So the ones that are breaking are phasing out of duty. So it did go to tender. We didn't have any that met the RCMP's requirement. So it's gone to tender again, and we're waiting to see what the final decision is. The forecasted cost of the pistol modernization is about $2,500 per member, and then another $500 for the training. And that would require every member to be switched over. And they're looking at a 4-year rollout of those. So we're still kind of waiting to determine what that's going to be. If that means a member has to go to, say, Depot for a week to learn how to use the new firearm, or if they're going to be up in Edmonton. But that'll be a cost that'll be coming in the next 5 years. Handheld thermals, those run about $4,000 per device. We do have one currently at the detachment that's been there for a while, since before I got there. They're looking at a 3-year plan, attempting to have at least a minimum of 2 at each detachment. Yeah, we don't have to worry about the Marine Group or TSG. And then that breakdown, the bottom of page 15 is just a breakdown of all the costs for municipalities under the 15,000 mark in the province. Page 16, computer-aided dispatch. So our current dispatch has been in service for a while. Obviously, it needs some updating. It's yet to be determined the cost of what it's going to do. They're looking at changing it up in 2028, 2029. So the closer we get to that time period, we'll have more of an understanding of the cost. On page 17, we discuss of our SAM system, which is basically the computer system in our cars. That has been running, I think, since the 90s too, actually. And this month we rolled out Bell CAD Mobile. So we'll be switching from SAM to Bell likely for the next 5 years. And after that, once they identify another vendor, we'll be switching to a third system, I guess. That will take over for Bell. I guess it could technically be Bell if Bell wins a contract, but that's to be determined in the next 5 years. ATAC, I know some of you guys attended to our RTOC system in Edmonton. ATAC is kind of one of those new technologies that's come out in the past 3-4 years for the RCMP. It allows for direct GPS tracking on each of our members. Relatively cost based, it's about $60 per member. They are looking at going to a specific police one because we're using a general ATAC system that's isolated just to the police, developing their own software. But it's been a huge help in being able to set up containments and basically locating members, right? So like in Edmonton right now, they could see where I am just based on where my cell phone is to the point. Yeah, the next couple pages kind of go over costs over the entire spectrum of municipal forces, municipalities under 15,000. If we go to page 23, we do discuss some of the special projects that are coming up, or not coming up, that are being utilized. Cybercrime is a huge problem, even at the detachment level here in Innisfail. We get weekly, multiple people come in and they've been scammed online, scammed through, cryptocurrency, stuff like that. So I know we do have one member that's been applied for, attempting to, to take the cybercrime training. We're just waiting for a response if he's been selected or not. He's a relatively new member to the detachment, which is nice because he'd be here probably for the next 5 years. So yeah, like the cost of cybercrime and whatnot is extensive for manpower hours, and we're seeing more and more of that than we are seeing other traditional crimes, especially when it comes to frauds. Uniform modernization on page 24. The RCMP is looking at switching out our current duty shirt from the gray to a navy shirt. I don't have a specific timeline on that. The shirt was approved. We were told that ideally August, we were going to start seeing some of the smaller divisions roll it out as a test. Obviously, Alberta is one of our larger ones. So the thought process was that the Maritimes would probably be the first ones to see it. We haven't had any specific dates. The shirt is basically very similar to what a lot of the members were buying by themselves. It's a more breathable material. It gets away from the button-up. I personally like the button-up, but the new shirt is supposed to be more comfortable, more wear-resistant, easier to maintain, basically. There is a significant cost increase for that per shirt. It goes from $29 for this one to $72. I had asked the members, like, I thought that was high personally, but I had asked them what they were paying personally for their shirts, and they were saying those shirts they were paying $100 for. So there is, I guess, a sizable discount the federal government's getting on it. So the inclusive respirator, again, that's for members that have a beard for religious reasons or other reasons. They can't use the standard respirator. And that's just a safety concern. Cryptocurrency, like I said, we're already spending a ton of money and time on those. I think that kind of brings us down to page 28, which is the cost specifically to Innisfil. So the cost per regular member in 25-26 decreased to $172,000, a little bit of change in far as the 70% requirement that is broken down. They're projecting it's probably going to increase by in 2026, 2027 to $182,000. And that just deals with the cost of equipment and the likelihood of wage increases. The divisional administration rate is forecasted at $46,000 per working member for the 2025-2026 fiscal year. So that places the annual estimate of costs for Innisfil town at just shy of $1.8 million per year, with the intention for it to be billed out in 2025, 2026 in a quarterly section of $446,000 and some change. Well, that's all the specifics I have, unless you guys want to go into some more stuff. Like, we do have you guys
All
can
right.
look it up, but.
Thank you, Sergeant Zeffirelli. Does anyone have any questions? Councillor Maceros.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. Thank you for your presentation. It was really interesting just to go through all this.
I appreciate it. I found it very dry, but I'm glad you guys took so good.
My question is just related to growth, and
Yeah.
what factors do you base growth on? How do you forecast that for the next 5 years?
Oh, so it has to do with call load, type of call, and then population mostly for if the detachment's going to be growing in membership. So the call loads in Innisfil have stayed consistent over the past couple of years. There hasn't been any, knock on wood again, major events that would drive those numbers up, or consistently major events. So the amount of on-road time that is expected to be seen by the members is being seen. So that's why there's no plans for it to expand the membership that is here.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Councillor Lynn.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. Through to Constable Zeffirelli, thank you for your presentation. I appreciate that you think it's dry, but it's actually really critically important information for us.
I know.
Certainly as we consider any changes to the police service that would look after our community, all of these very hard infrastructure costs are important for people to understand. So thank you for your time and your commitment, but thank you for the information. It's really important for us.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Hystad.
Thanks, Mayor Barkley. I just want to thank the RCMP for all the work that they do, as well as working with the police committee. And thanks for the barbecue that just this past week. We had a presentation from your staff union, and I'm certain that I know myself personally, I appreciate everything the RCMP does in the Innisfil area, and just want to say thanks to you and your colleagues. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bates.
Yeah, I was glad you clarified the per capita was per member. When I started looking at those numbers, I was getting pretty worried.
Ian sent me the report, and I had to email Edmonton. I'm like, no, this doesn't make sense. What do you mean per capita? And they're like, no, it's per member. I'm like, oh, okay, that's.
being an owner, I agree with you 100% about the fleet. I don't see how that it's going to be, with today's technology, 50% by 2030. I noticed there's no forecast for changes to the 5,000 population threshold, that's the point where a community needs to have a contract with the RCMP. I'm not sure it's a question for you, but it's just amusing on my point that, and I guess that's the province, is it? Or is that?
You know, that I'm not sure who sets that.
Because at some point it needs to change, and I just.
It's been 5,000 for as long as I've been a member,
Yeah.
right? So we're talking 18 years at least.
Yeah.
And I'm assuming it's probably been like that for a while.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who makes the decision.
Yeah, no, I didn't
Why
expect
it
the
is,
answer.
yeah.
I just, like I said, I wanted to just bring it up that I think that's going to need to be addressed by somebody at some point. And that's really all I have. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Bates. It's not just 5,000 and under, it's 5,000 plus counties. So I did address that to the MNP meeting I was in, that I felt there needed to be a bit more equitable solution to those costs, but not sure where that will go. Question, Sergeant Zeffirelli, on the building and the maintenance, and you said the furnace may need replacing. Does the RCMP, do they do like a building assessment, or they have a 5-year plan on what potential repairs and maintenance may?
They do, yes.
Okay.
Sorry, I think the furnace is regularly maintained. I don't think it
Okay.
needs to be replaced. They're relatively new. We do have one that we joke about. The alarms go off in the basement regularly with it. It's just, there is aspects of it. It's an older building, but like I said, it is maintained. There is a plan that comes out provincially for which buildings in the detachment will have which upgrades. I know Staff Sergeant Imey had requested 2 specific upgrades. We were kind of waiting to see. One of them was to have a keyed entry placed on our prisoner bay. Currently, you would either have to request somebody inside to open up the prisoner bay, or we would have to essentially jump out of the vehicle, leave the prisoner in the vehicle, and run in, open the door, and then come back. The other one was looking at fencing off the remainder of the property, just basically to ensure the security of the police cars when they were left alone. But again, we were told we're in the list for that, and certain priorities, unfortunately, will tick up. I know the day after, I think it was Bonnyville, where the guy took the front loader to the police cars, we got a call from K Division about the fence the next day, but yeah, it's, I don't think the fence would have stopped it, but it's nice they were thinking of it. So.
Okay, so, sorry, just a bit confused. So is it the town of Innisfail that pays a portion of that, or all of it, the maintenance on the building, or is that all RCMP?
No, there's a cost per.
There's that.
Yeah, you guys
formula.
don't pay for all of it. There is
Yeah.
certain costs that come back
Okay.
to the municipality for it.
Okay.
But at the same time, there is provincial units out of that building, and then provincial members that are working
Okay.
out of the building. So the cost does not entirely go to the town.
Okay, no, thank you. And I'd also add on to Councillor Bates's comment about the goal on the EVs. Is there opportunity for us to, I guess, give some feedback? I obviously, not intimate with your work, but I'm wondering how well a EV is going to work with the ground that you have to cover and the amount of mileage you have to cover, and would there be an opportunity, or should there be an opportunity for us to maybe give some feedback about that, because it's the cost, and then there's the is it the best solution?
Right. I don't foresee us getting an EV or being on the block anytime soon. I know there was testing with the EVs at some municipal detachments. So when I say municipal, I mean, the police car leaves the town and it shuts off, kind of municipal detachments. And as far as the response, I don't think the use was as highly regarded as the gasoline vehicles, obviously. I did kind of slag off our hybrid. I personally actually like the hybrid. It works quite well when it works, but when it fails fails spectacularly, unfortunately, right? So we will gladly notify council if we become on the block for a testing detachment for the EVs, but I don't foresee it coming here anytime soon. So.
Fair enough, thank you. All right, anything else? If not, I please have someone make the recommended motion. Councillor Dunham.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. I move that council recommend the chief elected officials sign off on the Innisfail Municipal Detachment Multi-Year Financial Plan.
All right, thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. Okay, thanks again for coming today.
Much.
Appreciate it. Okay, we will move into 4.2, the Chief Administrative Officer Report.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I'll just paraphrase, council, if you have any questions, but as the report reads, there has been some interaction between administration and the Innisfail Men's Shed to take on certain bikes of the lost and unclaimed property. So as the report reads and as the attached policy states, the town does take on inventory, largely a lot of bikes that we hold on for well beyond the 30 days as per the policy. The arrangement with the men's shed is to take bikes that are in decent condition. They would refurbish them and put them back into community based on need. This report is basically to give council a sense of awareness of this arrangement and partnership, and just pose any questions you may have with this arrangement. But felt it worthwhile that you're aware of this arrangement, and we'll take any questions.
Sure. No, thank you for that. Does anybody have any questions about the men's shed and the bicycle? I think it makes a lot of sense, and good for them for fixing them up and getting them back into the community. Councillor Bates.
Yeah, I don't have any questions on that. I do have another item I just wanted to bring up. So I think many of us know we have had some issues with fishing access to Dodds Lake on sides that aren't at the dock. It's created some vehicle, let's say, egress where they shouldn't be onto paths, and certain amount of, just taking liberties with some of the vegetation. And anyway, I've noticed this past weekend that I think it was Friday, the town crews did pull the wooden dock out that had been there for several years, and also another platform that had been, I guess it just found its way in there in the last 2 or 3 weeks. They did that extremely efficiently, and I think that will help. It's no longer a magnet that can be seen all the way across the lake, that there's other ways in. The one thing left that I think will need some attention is how we inform people in general, and fishermen specifically, that show up and either try to go through the cattails and that sort of thing. And I do know we made tremendous headway last year where the boardwalk was, and there was a lot of clearing of vegetation. I'm not familiar with all of the things we did, but I know there's some signage down there, and it looks like that's almost 100% recovered. So I think the combination of removing one of the or two of the attractions, but I do think we probably need some attention to how we inform, and even the residents, of which I happen to be one. If there is that information channel, then we can point to it, whether that be signage or whatever form it takes.
CEO Becker.
Mayor Barkley, to Councillor Bates's comments. Right now, my perspective is fishing is on the south side of the lake. We have not talked administratively. I've heard from council to create open areas for fishing on the north or the northwest corner. So obviously pulling the dock kind of demonstrates that administrative push to put people back to the respective fishing areas. So we'll certainly talk about appropriate signage to direct people to proper locations, or to monitor the environmental impacts of disturbing those areas. So right now, the idea is to not allow people to infringe on environmental sensitive areas. So we'll certainly talk administratively about the appropriate signage.
CO Becker, so with that path that's behind the houses there, and there is access kind of at the north end where there's people were going in and driving up to where that dock is. Is there any thought about, I guess, having an arm there or something to stop vehicles from getting onto that path, or are we less concerned about that now that the dock has been removed?
Mayor Barkley, to your question, I'm not sure if Director Kennedy has any thoughts on some of his experience with controlling pathway traffic, if there's any thoughts on from your perspective?
Up to now, we're not concerned with it. We're going to definitely monitor now that the docks are out. We'll see if there is any evidence. We do access that area for the weir every year, so, but yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on it.
No, thank you for that. And I did have residents who texted me the other day to say thank you so much for taking the dock out, because they had brought it up a while ago because they had traffic in behind their home accessing that dock and parking the vehicle on the path. So, Councillor Bates, did you have something further?
Yeah, no, I think because it was just done, the monitoring is probably appropriate. But I wouldn't hesitate at some point to, I mean, we have the pump house there we could use it even as a little signage holder that doesn't spoil the views or anything of anything. So let's monitor and then we'll look forward.
Okay, thank you. I'll just have someone please make a motion to approve the CEO reports. Councillor Maceros.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I'd like to move that council approves the CAO report dated July 25th, 2025 as information.
All right, thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. And we'll move on to 4.3, the council action control. Just have somebody please make a motion to accept the council action control as information. Councillor Dunham.
Mayor Barkley will make that motion.
Okay, does anyone have any questions about it? No, all in favor? All right, carried, thank you. Okay, we will move into operational services, 5.1, and the draft cross connection with Director Kennedy.
Thanks, Mayor Barkley. So in front of you is just the draft of our new policy proposed to provide financial assistance to the property owners who are incurring some financial burden to correct the improperly installed cross connection between stormwater and wastewater. This is a program that has been in place since 2017, where council committed to provide services to the homeowners or assistance to homeowners at a maximum of $3,500 per dwelling to fund the repair itself. The allocated budget back then was tapped out at $15,000, but no policy was created at that time. Since then, in 2019, back as far as I've been here, the wastewater operating budget has been allocated at $7,000 per year, so two connections. And to date, our records show that we've done a total of 5 residents over that number of years. In doing a little research, municipal servicing standards, including separate storm and wastewater systems, became more strictly regulated in the mid to late 90s. So based on this and the 2017 approach, we looked at pre-1995 homes that were often permitted under the legacy code and are more likely to have cross connects due to less vigorous inspection, compared to the post-2000 homes that typically fall under more modern permitted systems and with mandatory compliance and inspection. So based on that, it is our recommendation to move the policy recommendation using a cutoff of eligible homes that were constructed prior to January 1st, 2000. With the conditions within the policy for reimbursement, 5 conditions really: written pre-approval from the town, minimum of 2 contractor quotes, work must be completed by a certified plumber or utility contractor, final inspection by the town, And then invoices must be paid prior to reimbursement from the town. Program funding limits, annual program budget and funding limits will be set by council during the budget deliberations. Assistance is provided for a first come, first served basis with the allocation of funded, or till the allocated funded is exhausted. So financial impacts recommendation is to continue with that 2 dwelling per year, $7,000, with a note that the unused amount does go to the utility reserve fund. So I'm just looking for council feedback on the program.
All right, thank you, Director Kennedy. Does anybody have any questions about the program itself? Councillor Bates.
I just have one, and that is how will we, or who determines that, because we do know in a lot of the old areas we have situations that are less than ideal and there may not even be storm service, but who determines at what point that an area or a home, I can get it if a homeowner wants to make that change because they see a problem, but who, going forth, do we have some on our radar that areas that should be changed, or?
Nothing on the immediate radar. Where it comes in based on conversations with our utilities foreman, it's where the storm sewer or where the sanitary sewer is connected improperly into the storm sewer. That's the biggest concern.
Yeah.
Not really the storm into the sanitary, because on the older homes and older areas, really there is usually no other option.
Right.
So really it relates to the opposite direction primarily. It's where the sanitary is into the storm sewer.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. Does anybody else have any questions for Director Kennedy? Question I have, Director Kennedy, just tell me a little bit about the process. So I think we've had 1 or 2 newer homes that we've done. So like, what is the process when the development is taking place and it's not done properly? Like, was there an inspection along the way that?
Excuse me. So in reference to some of the newer homes that we did provide, so the town's obligation is to provide the inspection to the service to the property or to the house. At that time, we do show, we indicate which is sanitary, which is storm. But then once the building goes into close-up phase, we don't inspect anymore. So that's where that potential of cross-connect seems to have happened.
Okay. And how would a homeowner know that?
The homeowner wouldn't know that unless they were to test it out themselves.
Okay. Councillor Bates.
I can give you an example of how it happened once in our neighborhood. I believe a citizen noticed an odor from the storm, and then we were contacted many years ago by the town and asked to put dye in our toilets and flush, and they were outside monitoring, and they determined where the cross connections were, which wasn't mine, but that's one example of how it was done.
Okay, no, thanks. Okay, any questions? If not, please have someone make a motion that we approve this policy. Councillor Wing.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I would move that council approve the cross-connection financial assistance policy 2025-002.
All right, thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor? Carried, thank you. And we'll move into 5.2, Napoleon South Development.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Barkley. So again, just a quick update to council in regards to the construction of the Napoleon development. So we did mobilize the site and start grading here on just around the end of May. To date, we've got topsoil stripping to be about 90% complete on site, with the site grading at about 50%. As everyone's aware, as we've had significant weather delays since then, putting the project to approximately 3 weeks behind schedule. We have been meeting with the contractor regularly here to come up with some ideas to what we can do, and they have been very good with providing some strategies. Some of the strategies listed here, one is that they are obligated, or they have provided a recommendation to bring in a second crew that they are hoping to have available here in 2 to 3 weeks. That's working on another project. They do want to designate that crew to come in as a second crew as well. They are suggesting that they would be working every weekend, every Saturday, where originally they proposed it was every other weekend. And then above that, with the weather, they are contemplating as well working on Sundays, where they hadn't on the original schedule. This is all allowed within our utility, our bylaws. Weekend work is allowed from 9 to 10 on weekends, so all within that allowable range. That's about all I have for really an update, so, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Does anybody have any questions for Director Kennedy? Councillor Dunham.
Thanks, Mayor Barkley. I understand that it's, whatever would be happening would be within those allowable hours, but would we do any notification to the adjacent property holders just to notify them that there would probably be evening and weekend work? Because sometimes people get a little upset if their evening barbecues or weekend barbecues are interrupted and dust, et cetera.
To Councillor Dunham, so we have recommended to the contractor that if they do provide, they had provided original, that they were only going to work 7 till 7 with the occasional weekend. So we did recommend that if they are anticipating to move forward with a proposed schedule, that they provide new updates to the residents.
Yeah, I don't know how much input we have, Director Kennedy, but it concerns me at 10 o'clock on a Sunday night, in particular, if they're going that late, but I will leave that to you to discuss with them. I know it might be allowed under the bylaw, but I'll just have somebody make a motion, please, that we accept the Napoleon South Development Report as information. Councillor Bates.
I'll move that we accept the Napoleon South Development Report as information.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you. And we'll move on to 5.3 with the Lakewood Drive crosswalk.
Yes, so last one for council, just in regards to the Lakewood Drive crosswalk at Aspen Heights Drive. So, just get it in front of me again. So back in 2020, we did do additional street lighting at that intersection of Aspen Heights Drive and Lakewood Drive to allow for a safer intersection and better indication of that intersection. 2021, we did a review of the speed limits along Lakewood Drive and did a reduction in speed from Lakewood Drive to Highway 54 to 60 kilometers an hour, as well as a reduction to 50 kilometers between 56th Street and 50th Street on Lakewood Drive. Since then, we have received a request to install a crosswalk at Lakewood Drive and Aspen Heights Drive. The intersection was included in the 2024 pedestrian safety review report. Did indicate that no immediate recommendation be done, but was included in their additional recommendation, which is just further along the priorities. Additionally, maybe recommendations may be completed based on traffic, pedestrian volumes, as well as taking advantage of any larger infrastructure projects. We are recommending to complete the trail connection and crosswalk in 2026 as an operating project. We are looking to do a cost estimate of what that would look like and have it ready for council in the budget deliberations as a consideration in the 2026 operating project. So I'm just looking for some direction from council.
Sure. All right. Thank you, Director Kennedy. Does anybody have any questions about this to Director Kennedy? Councillor Wing.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. And through to Director Kennedy, thank you for bringing this forward. We did have this discussion about this intersection when we had the traffic study done. We did discuss at that time that coming on the trails coming up the hill from Centennial Park and towards Lakewood Drive, there is no crosswalk. To get across at that point, you have to walk a kilometer east in the ditch to get to the next crosswalk or the sidewalk. So I think this is important. I think that as we grow and as we continue to grow, we see kids going across the street at this particular intersection to the ski hill. I think it's just an important addition for that part of town to keep people safe. So thank you for doing this.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions? Councillor Hystad.
Thanks, Mayor Barclay. I also agree with this project moving forward in 2026. I guess my question would be on the map there that Director Kennedy provided to us. So that's going to, just past when you go close to the ski hill, I believe there's a new trail proposed there. Am I correct?
The trail connection would be to the existing trail that's there.
Okay,
That's all we're proposing at this time.
Okay, so I just thought it said new trail, and so that's where I was questioning on that. Is there an opportunity to build that old trail once again? I guess that would be under review with our budget in 2026. But that's my question. If that was proposed in there, that's what I was assuming when I read and I looked at that picture.
Yep. To Councillor, I said, yeah, that the indication is just for that connector, that trail connection, short piece.
Okay. Yeah, and all of my comment would be on that connection itself. It's a pretty rough trail, and I really do think whoever's on council in the near future should consider not only that trail going to the golf course, but going towards the library into the community. But no, I agree with Councillor Wing on this one. Thanks.
Okay, my comment, Director Kennedy, would be I'm not against this, that's for sure. I guess I'm just wondering about process, so maybe this is directed as much to Director Vickers. So as moving into the next budget, and is there going to be opportunities for further discussion about priorities? And I think of the trail master plan that was done in 2019 and all the priorities that are laid out in there. And I mean, if I could pick a wish list, it would be that this whole trail from the golf course right into town would be rehabbed and upgraded and maintained back to what it used to be at one time, because it is a trail that is well used, and I think people are even more into using trails now than they were years ago. But so I guess I'm wondering, when I look at the trail master plan and I look at the pedestrian safety review that we did and the priorities, and there's places in town that don't even have sidewalks, and how do we fit all these projects in and choose a priority? Because I would like to see, if we're going to do this, then let's take a look at doing the whole trail and not just a piece onto basically a trail that in the trail master plan that said in 2019 that the trail really should likely be closed until it is better maintained. So I'm curious if we're going to have an opportunity in the next couple of months to have any of those discussions around capital projects. Or
we did do an update to the trail master plan in 2023. I believe we still showed it as I think it was in the 5-year priority in regards to that trail to be reassessed. So it is still on the list of priorities. I guess it just comes to, if that's the direction at council is to include that, I think that's fair.
so could we do that? Could we change the recommended motion to provide a cost for that trail as well, along with this connection?
Definitely, if administration's asking for some direction on a portion, if council wishes to expand that further, certainly that feedback would be welcome.
Okay, Councillor Bates.
I look at that, I think you should separate it into two distinct pieces, because I think what's proposed here does address potential safety concern coming and going from the subdivision, the Upland Aspen, and then beyond that, look at the trail separately, because that's going to be the big bucks, and at least you've solved, if I'm not making the decision, I'm just saying at least you may have solved the crossing the highway and then look at the other separately? Because I do remember in some previous council abandoning that trail. But now that Ski Hill is more active and whatever, I think the crossing has some, definitely has some merit. But I'd two pieces would be my suggestion.
So when you say two pieces, you mean two separate motions? Is that what you're meaning?
No, it could be in the same motion, but I would leave this standalone as to its estimate.
Oh, yeah.
And then another estimate, and the other estimate, somebody needs to provide the definition, because is it back to where there's the crossing at Sunset Glass, and then all the way out to the golf course in the other direction, or does it go all the way back to the railway tracks on that side of the road, which then gets into all those issues that we talked about before, where it's a snow dump off of Lakewood Drive?
Well, I think if you took a look at the trail master plan, it lays out back to the railway tracks, because there was even issues identified in the trail master plan about the safety with the railway tracks, and then of course the elevation of the trail and being covered in water much of the time. So I think what we have to do is support our decisions with data, and there's a lot of that information available in the trail master plan and the pedestrian safety review. So let's use those. That's why we do them, to support the work that we want to do going forward. And the trail, I know it would be very expensive, but it's certainly well used, even in the condition that it's in. So, Councillor Hystad.
So I was just going to ask a governance question, Mayor Barclay. So you're just asking for an amendment to this original motion to include the trail outside, going from the golf course all the way to the crosswalk, or to the into town, past the library, to the railroad tracks, correct?
That's correct. And I think within the motion that it would be identified as pricing these two items separately.
Yep. And I support the amendment. If that's the case, I can make that amendment.
Okay, so would you like to make the motion then, Councillor Hystad?
Yeah, I'll make the motion, and then I'll also add that the quote is for the trail itself from the golf course through the ski hill, past the library as well, going all the way to the train tracks.
Yeah. Okay. Is that good, CO Group? Yeah. Okay. No, thank you for that. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay. All in favor? Right. Carried. Okay. Let's move on to 6.1 with Director Vickers, a letter of support for the library.
Yes, thank you, Mayor Barclay. We recently have received a request from the Innisfail Public Library for a letter of support for their upcoming renovation that they have planned. So they are preparing to renovate their current children's reading room in the back of the current library into a new woodland themed space called the Reading Cave. It will serve children ages 0 to 12 and their families, and have just a welcoming and imaginative environment for both quiet reading and interactive programming, with lots of craft, storytelling, and small group activities. So the design includes nature-inspired murals on all walls, soft furnishings, reading tents, some flexible seating and tables, warm lighting, as well as some custom storage solutions. The project is going to be fully funded through grants and community donations. However, to secure some remaining funding, the library has applied to the Central Alberta Co-op, their Building Communities Fund grant. As part of that process, they do require a letter of support from the building owner, which is the town of Innisfail. A copy of the project charter that they did, as well as the artist's rendering, have been submitted for reference. Just note that it does say Barb's Woodland Reading Corner. That is incorrect. It is going to be called the Reading Cave. The renovation is currently scheduled to take place in December of this year, with their grand opening taking place on Family Literacy Day on January 24th, 2026. And there is no financial contribution requested from the town. This is completely independently. They're just asking for this letter of support.
Sure. Thank you, Director Vickers. Could I please have someone make the recommended motion? Councillor Wing?
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I would move that council direct administration to prepare a letter of support for the Innisfail Public Library's children's reading room renovation project, the Reading Cave.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any questions? I would just make a request that if we're changing that area, which is fine, I would like to see the library or the town notify Rotary, because it is called the Rotary Children's Reading Room right now with the Rotary logo and everything on the wall, and if it's coming down, that's just so they're aware of it, because I think there was $30,000 contributed back in the day when it opened for that area. Just so that they're aware, that's all. So we have a motion to support the reading room, a letter of support. All in favor? All right, carried. Okay, and we'll move into 6.2 and the franchise fee.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. So council recently passed a motion directing administration to complete a review of the town's franchise fees. So we have now developed the following scope to provide council with the comprehensive data-informed analysis of our electricity and natural gas franchise fee rates. The review is intended to support informed and responsible decision-making regarding any future adjustments to these rates during our budget deliberations. So this will provide council with a clear understanding of how franchise fees impact municipal revenues, community affordability, as well as regional competitiveness. Specifically, the review will include forecasting additional municipal revenue under multiple franchise fee scenarios for both electricity and natural gas. We're going to compare our franchise fee rates in those similar to Alberta municipalities to determine whether current or proposed rates align with regional norms. We're going to be estimating customer impact using industry standard energy consumption benchmarks across different user types, including residential, commercial, industrial, and institutional customers. We're going to look at analyzing affordability and rate sensitivity by using current census data, FCSS information, and other municipally held data, with a focus on how proposed increases may affect low to moderate income households and small business sectors within Innisfail. And then finally, we'll offer some policy recommendation and implementation options for council's consideration, including any flat increases, phased-in adjustments, or maintaining the current rate structure. So we have kind of developed a six-phase project base that theoretically will start now, but after, with the date of August 1st, would theoretically end on November 14th, with being a report brought to council on the November 17th council date. So here's kind of a detailed breakdown of each phase. So phase one is just that initial initiation and data collection. We're going to collect all the necessary franchise fee data, utility usage benchmarks, and local demographic information to support accurate modeling. This phase will also establish the foundational data needed for future phases. Phase two, we're going to do some revenue forecasting. So we're going to estimate the financial impact of franchise fee changes on municipal revenues using historical payments, utility distribution volumes, as well as multi-year growth projections. It will also provide a clear comparison across rate scenarios and establish revenue forecasts that support long-term financial planning, policy evaluation, and consideration of alternative rate situations. In phase three, now we're going to go into the class-based customer impact modeling. So we're going to estimate the financial impact of franchise fee scenarios on typical residential, commercial, industrial, and institutional customers using industry standard energy benchmarks collected in phase one. So this phase will support clear comparison across user types and help identify which groups are most affected under each scenario. The next phase will go into the affordability and equity review. So we are going to look and assess the financial impact of franchise fee change on household and businesses by comparing modeled costs to local income and operating benchmarks. This phase will identify pressure points among vulnerable groups, support equity-focused analysis, and inform potential communication or mitigation strategies. The next phase is where we're going to do our regional benchmarking. So we're going to compare ourselves to our current and proposed franchise fee rates to those of similar municipalities by reviewing rate structures, policy timelines, and revenue outcomes. Also with a look at not just their percentage, but how much revenue that percentage generated and what percentage of that revenue is of their total revenue, so that we can see it's not just we're at 17% to 17%, But our 17% generated 2 million, their 17% generated 3 million, and what percent on total revenue does that look like? And then finally, the last phase would be reviewing with our other senior administration, combining all our findings into one council report and presentation package, with presenting to council on November 17th. Administration is recommending this approach as the most responsible and transparent method for evaluating potential changes to the town's franchise fee rates. By conducting this thorough phased review, council will be equipped with a well-rounded understanding of both the financial and community impacts of any proposed adjustments. So some of the outcomes that you will provide is a clear understanding of the dollar value and year-over-year financial impact of each franchise fee rate change option, and tie that to long-term budget planning and funding needs. You're going to see a regional comparison showing how Innisfil's current or proposed franchise fee rates align with similar Alberta municipalities, helping to avoid over or under collection relative to peers. A realistic preview of how franchise fee charges or changes would affect utility customers in dollar terms across residential, commercial, industrial, and institutional classes. Insight into which community groups or business sectors may have experienced financial hardship or pricing pressures from fee increases, guiding decision on increases, mitigation, or community strategies. And then a set of policy scenarios with pros, cons, and some administrative steps and communication considerations. So service level impacts, this is going to have a moderate temporary impact on staff capacity across a number of departments. Finance and legislative staff will devote time to data collection, modeling, and report preparation, which may delay lower priority tasks. And minor involvement from FCSS, economic development, as well as senior leadership will also be required to validate findings and support some financial reporting. Yeah, I'll take any questions council may have now. If not, I'm looking for approval of the scope.
Thank you, Director Vickers. Does anyone have any questions for Director Vickers about this process? Councillor Bates?
You look at me. Of course, I have a question. As I look back of all the discussions we've had, I think one of the key things that I think will be valuable to future council would be if we could try to estimate the portion of a fee increase when we actually have one, what portion of that would affect taxpayers versus everybody? Because I think in the past, I've heard the arguments that one of the positives of a franchise fee is that it basically gets revenue from everyone, not just the taxpayers. But I've never seen a ratio that tells me, like we know when we increase taxes 1%, we're always told how much that is in the current year. So we almost need to try to estimate, in my opinion, when you get a 1% franchise fee increase, what portion of that goes to, of the actual revenue, goes to taxpayers versus non-taxpayers. And keep in mind, and I've reminded it several times, that the franchise fee, 5% of it is GST and goes to the federal government. Whereas the actual tax increases, when they happen, we get it all. And those are balances, and I think that would still be a valuable tool when you're actually at budget time making that final decision. Do we add to a franchise fee, or do we? Because you'd know how much of that actual revenue was coming from people that aren't current taxpayers. That's one thing I'd like to see, and I'll be seeing it from the gallery, I guess. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Does anybody have any further questions or comments for Councillor Bates, for Director Vickers? No, I think this process that you've laid out is fantastic, and it'll be very, very useful going forward. So thank you for that, and look forward to seeing what you come up with at some point in time. All right, we'll just have a motion then, please, to the council approves the scope of the franchise fee impact. Councillor Bates.
I want to make that motion. the council approves the scope of the franchise fee impact review scope. And I neglected to say it earlier, but yes, overall, the rest of it is great.
Right, thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. And we'll move into the second quarter financials with Director Vickers.
Okay, thank you, Mayor Barkley. So each year we do prepare and present our quarterly financial statements for council's review and approval. So the ones that we're currently presenting to council are for the second quarter. It does cover all the way from January 1st to June 30th inclusive. Administration has reviewed the financial information in detail and compared it to actual results to the approved 2025 final budget, which was adopted by council on December 9th of 2024. Based on this review, administration confirms that the financial statements provide a fair and accurate representation of the town's financial position as of June 30th, 2025. So we'll just get into a bit of the review. We always start with revenue first. We are sitting now at 73% of total revenue compared to budget. And when we compare that to our 50% benchmark of the second quarter, we're sitting in a pretty good position. And when we look at where we were sitting last year, we're 2 percentage points more than what we saw last year. So some of the specific revenues to note, business licenses and animal licenses are both collected primarily at the beginning of the year. They remain on track and they are consistent where they are at each year at this point. Tax revenue is sitting at 100% as it is been collected and recognized in the second quarter. The figure reflects the full amount levied for 2025. However, we do have a bit of outstanding still. So our outstanding balance based on June 30th was just over $915,000 or 6.56% of outstanding. Currently, and when I say currently, that was as of last week when we wrote the report, we were sitting at a remaining balance of 684 or 4.9%. And we do have the listing of the tax balances from 2017 to 2024, and the 6.56% is kind of in line. It kind of ebbs and flows on where we're at, so we're sitting okay. Sale of land is only sitting at 38%, so we have all of our final residential lots have been sold, and that figure also does include any deposits collected through any of the lot draw process. Franchise fees, Fortis is sitting at 47% and ATCO is sitting at 62%. Both franchise fee revenues are tracking as expected for the second quarter. ATCO is sitting a little bit higher, but payments received are according to their typical distribution schedule so far. One big thing to note here in our revenue is we do have an account sitting in a negative situation. It's at negative 10%. This is other revenue from owned sources. This is primarily made up of all of our accounts receivable penalties, and the negative balance is a result of the large penalty waiver approved by council on March 24th for a total of just under $71,500. So that's where that's sitting right now. We'll move on to expenses. So right now at the end of second quarter, we're sitting at about a 38% budget. When we compare ourselves to the 50th percentile mark for the second quarter, we are sitting in at a kind of a good position. When we review the second quarter for last year, it is 1 percentage less than we saw at that point, so we are in a better position this year. Some of the specific expenses to note, salaries are sitting at 43%, so we're really happy where those are sitting at when we compare with our first quarter or second quarter benchmark of 50%. Membership fees are sitting at 73%, and again, most of these are paid during the first quarter, so it does always result in a higher early year expenditures, and it always does end up kind of balancing out near the end of the year. Audit fees are sitting at 99%, so this is for the 2024 audit, and all of those activities have been completed. Any cost for the 2025 audit will be borne in 2026. Computer programming is sitting at 63%, so this is one of those accounts where we upload a lot of those big purchases at the beginning of the year. Charter services is sitting at 93%, so this is specifically around our charter bus services where people look for these private services outside of the community. It is still a relatively new budget, so we're trying to find that balance of how much we need in budget. And just note that the revenue is indexing at the same level as we see those expenses. Designated property taxes is sitting at 120%, so this is recognized during the second quarter through taxes. And it is one of these things that it's assessed by the government, which is a third party, so we don't always see these assessment numbers in time for the budget. That will get trued up next year. Telecommunications is sitting at 51%, so it's kind of right on line. It used to be one that was a higher percentage in the first quarter, and it kind of evened out because it is one of those ones that's front-loaded along with everything else. Grants to others is sitting at 69%. This is our town's, our annual library requisition is paid at the beginning of the year, so that's the brunt of this. Planning service is currently sitting at 188%. Where it's 188%, but it really is only, the budget was 10,000, and we're sitting at 18,000 right now. A small portion of that is for some of the work for the 50th Street outdoor space. However, the majority of that is we are seeing some increased PCBS cost just with our vacancy in our planner position. So we are seeing that kind of balancing out right there. Insurance really hasn't changed since reporting in the first quarter. They are paid annually at the beginning of the year, and we did see approximately a 10% increase this year, right around $26,000 for 2025. Land purchase is at 183%. Again, this is a budget of $5,000, and we're seeing it about $6,500 balance. And this is just overages due to any of the retailer commissions and legal fees related to our land sales from the first quarter, including any lot draw expenses. Gas utilities are sitting at 65%. Again, we're coming off of some winter months, which did have some higher costs in the winter. However, we have done a review, and the largest portion of this cost is not even gas costs, it's the transmission and all of those admin fees that are coming through to that. So a further review will be brought forward during budget deliberations to show a full accounting of what the gas actually looks like for that. Other requisitions is sitting at 109, so those are the Parkland Foundations and the CAWMA, which are issued at the beginning of the year. As well as our franchise tax payment has been made for 2025 as well. That's the ATCO Gas franchise tax payment. And all revenues and expenses are within the budget approvals for this quarter, so we're happy with those. Again, we are tracking counselor expenses, so this is the second year that we are tracking these counselor professional development expenses as a distinct category. So they're there, and we'll just continue to report those with our quarterly financials. So we have attached a summary of our capital project balances as of June 30th. And I'd like to go over the attachment in some detail. So this one here is just our summary income statement. So this just has it by object type. So if you have any questions about any specific item in here, I kind of did pull off some of the ones that I felt would draw any attention for council here. And if you go into the next document, now it just goes into income statement by department. So it just shows the revenue and expenses by total department as a whole. And then if we move on to the capital budget updates, and I'll just kind of go through, and if council has any questions about any specific projects, please let me know. So we still have the town office fire system budget on there, sitting with those actuals. The town office, keep going to the next one, yeah. There we go, perfect. Okay. So the town office generator preparation, I know that we've done some discussion on that, and it likely is going to change into something different. It may not even be that. The town office windows project is complete. We had done a budget adjustment, so the budget is not actually $50,000. It's actually $72,950, so we are right exactly on budget for that one. The council chambers upgrade and repairs, it's currently sitting at $112,000. We are looking at most of the stuff is now completed. We're just waiting for most of those invoices to kind of come in. The industrial washer and dryer has been purchased and has been implemented in our fire hall. We're still looking at a radio base station for Unit 106. The Southwest Industrial Design is sitting under budget right now. We are in talks on what that project is going to look like for closing, and likely will close out later this year. One thing to note for the next project, the solar project, there was an invoice that was included in there that was incorrectly applied in last quarter financials. So that has been moved to the correct project. And now, so we're sitting at, with a budget of 206 and current actual sitting at 192. Operations yard electrical upgrades, sitting there. We have a couple surface improvement projects. Just note that the 2025 surface improvement project was vastly reduced this year and likely going to be re-updated, and 2026 surface improvements will include a lot of these projects in a larger project next year. Concrete and asphalt crushing is there. Operation shop repairs, unfortunately, I'm sorry, that is on there twice. It's also one down lower. That's my mistake. Hydrovac truck has been purchased. Most of the fleet trucks have been purchased. There is something in, we are looking for another invoice that we're missing in there for another vehicle. The water truck has been purchased, and again, there was a project from 2024 that had 100,000, so this budget's actually 175. So we're still under budget at 169. The sanitary force main, I did combine those two projects because we did have one from last year, one from this year. So we're sitting with a total budget of 1.75 and those actuals of 604 right now. The 40th Street infrastructure replacement is sitting at 650. Park shop radiant heaters on there. Energy conservation measures, we're actually just in talks about that, see where that's gonna go. Same with the curling rink mechanical slab. And the Napoleon Meadows ended up being 4 homes that we constructed, or sorry, 6 homes, not 4, that we constructed on that one, and those are all complete. And when was the last one closing, sorry?
So the last one, 10 Napoleon Meadows, is just set to close August 7th, so there's still a few final invoices still for that one.
The Southwest Residential Design is under budget, sitting at 130. And then the Napoleon South Land Development, we're just getting started. We have very little invoices on that. Park shop repairs, and here's that second operation shop repairs. Ongoing arena repairs will be started shortly. The pool schematic and detailed design, likely that project is going to be closing now because the Aquatic Center modernization is kind of in full swing. And then we have a couple of library projects. So is there any specific questions that council may have on any one of these?
Well, we'll find out. Does anybody have any questions? Can you bring our friend Councillor Heistad back to the screen? There he is. Okay, perfect. Anybody have any questions about anything? Question I have, I guess, to Director Kennedy. Are you paving 40th Street this year?
Mayor Barkley, no, we're not this year. It's just millings.
Yeah, okay. Councillor Heistad.
Thanks, Mayor Barkley. To Director Vickers, just the library, you raised that at the end there, and I was curious, what are some of the big ones that we may be tagged with in the near future? I'm just curious, because the building's been open since 2012. Thanks.
Yep. Mayor Barkley through to Councillor Heistad. So currently we have the roof repairs project and the hot water tank replacement scheduled. And then go ahead.
Yeah, there's nothing in the next year or so that are major within the building condition assessments for the LLC. But again, we're just getting, sort of putting together those projects for 2026 capital. And we'll bring that updated plan to council shortly.
Thanks, both of you.
Director Vickers, would you like a little extra work?
No.
No.
No, yes, of course,
So,
Mayor Barkley.
I'm curious, and it's not a rush, but I'm wondering if you could put together some information about price increases over the last, let's say, 5 years, 3 to 5 years. And I think of, RCMP, we know those costs have gone up. And when you look at compared to 2021, they're up around 18%, which, isn't out of line, I don't think. But we've talked before about our water asphalt costs, a couple of $1,000s per linear meter in 18-19, now $2,900 per linear meter in 23-24. Wondering what it is now for 25. But, I think those kind of help support budget discussions and even looking at the financials and understanding everything, and insurance, we keep seeing that coming up every year as an increase, and how much has that increased over the last 5 years? And so some things I'm sure you're familiar with, what to choose and see where some of those larger increases have gone. And because I think like understanding that water, wastewater, asphalt replacement piece, like per linear meter, that's pretty significant. And
Mayor Barkley, are you wanting this as a part of budget deliberations for this year, or are you wanting this as a separate document, or just something for us to think of, or what?
I would prefer it beforehand, to be honest with you.
Okay.
And it doesn't need to be extensive, but I think just some supporting information. Is that okay? Do you want a motion, or do you want a motion?
Do we need a motion?
CEO Becker?
Yeah, sure, why not? Let's
Okay.
get something on the action control,
Put it on the
please.
council action control.
Yeah.
All right, well, I will make a motion then to direct administration to bring back information on cost increases over the last 5 years?
5 years, yeah. Okay.
On items that you choose. How's that, as opposed to having to go through everything? Okay. All in favor? Okay. Then there's nothing further. Have somebody please approve the second quarter financials as presented as well. Councillor Dunham.
Mayor Barkley, I move the council approves the second quarter financials
Okay.
as presented.
Thank you. All in favor? All right, carried. Thank you. And thank you for that, Director Vickers, as usual, very thorough. Okay, we'll move into 7.1 of the Aquatic Center Modernization Project with Director Jenkins.
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. So yes, just looking to provide council with what will become a very regular update on the Aquatic Center Modernization Project. So as you know, the facility's now closed, finished with hazardous materials abatement last week, and are beginning further demolition inside the building. We have scheduled the initial Aquatic Center information open house for Tuesday, August the 19th, from 4 to 7 p.m. at the LLC. We will also be on hand for the spring or fall registration night on September the 9th at the arena. And then we're just looking to confirm a date for likely the week of September 15th for a second event. The events are intended to be a come and go format with information displays related to all components of the project. Town staff will be accompanied by Shandos and Group 2 at the August 19th session. For registration night, it'll likely just be town staff available for that. Again, we continue to update the Involve Innisfail site. So this, I believe we started pushing out the August 19th date today on social media, so get that information out. Just a few other things for council. So we are working, we've had feedback from FCM with respect to that grant application. So this is the program that requires a 30% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions and does require some consideration of additional measures to achieve that, which may include some solar PV installed on site. The structural design of the building doesn't support rooftop PV, so we're looking for some other options. If successful, this grant could provide up to 80% funding for eligible costs through a combination of grant and a loan. So the grant portion of that could be up to $2.4 million. So we are working, they've been great and working to move to the next stage of the review process with them. It's quite challenging for us in Alberta to achieve that 30% greenhouse gas reduction on a facility like this due to the mix of our power grid in comparison to other parts of the country. But so that is positive, and we'll keep council updated on what some of the options are to ensure, if we are eligible, to continue to move forward with that grant. And then additionally, We are working, or the project team is working through some options related to the mechanical equipment for the new whirlpool. So they're doing some evaluation, looking at either creating a small mechanical space adjacent the whirlpool area, as opposed to running back through the existing pipe runs to the existing mechanical room. So we'll keep council updated as that solution is finalized.
Okay, thank you, Director Jenkins. Does anybody have any questions for Director Jenkins? Councillor Wing?
Thanks, Mayor Barkley. Yes, and through to Director Jenkins, thank you for the update. I'm just wondering, I know we've got, council doesn't meet next week, but then we have council and A&P just leading up into that first meeting, or that first open house on August 19th. As we get closer, like the 18th, could we have a really good presentation on sort of the run of play for what we anticipate that will look like? And can you show us in advance what the presentation materials will look like and all of it, just so that we can prepare ourselves and have a better feel for what we'll be experiencing at the open house?
Yeah, we can certainly
Thank
do
you.
that, and we'll plan, likely every council meeting, probably going forward, there's going to be this Aquatic Center update will be an item. So both by the 11th, we should have a fair bit of that material put together, so.
Thank you.
So you'll have time for some input there.
Awesome, thanks.
Right, thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Maceros?
Thank you, Mayor Barkley. I just have a request for the week of September, if we can have any influence on what date it is.
Sure.
If you could try and aim for the 17th or 18th.
Okay.
Thank you.
Director Jenkins, you were going to reach out to school divisions on some feedback from them on has there been any success on that?
Yep, so I have reached out to superintendents of both school divisions. I haven't heard back from Chinook's Edge to date. I did have a conversation with Ryan Ladine, the acting superintendent for Red Deer Catholic last week. We had a really good conversation. They don't have any sort of philosophical or policy objections. They've moved to some genderless washrooms in some of their new facilities, including washrooms with gendered spaces and then shared sinks, or the universal accessible rooms. He had some, sort of comments and tips for some things that they've learned over the years, just in terms of monitoring. But from philosophical is sort of the best word I can give to it, that there isn't an objection or an indication that they would not be able to make use of this facility.
Okay, thank you. Also, just a question around FCM. Do you think they're aware of the challenges of Alberta? I know, like Ontario, Quebec, hydropower is a lot different, and
certainly the grant advisor that I've dealt with, they have indicated that they are aware of that based on our location, where the ability to simply electrify and achieve those greenhouse gas emission reductions are not the reality for us. That doesn't necessarily say their policy is any different for Alberta, but
do you see, do you foresee, or is there a way that we could advocate to them to take a look at this policy, because it's not fair to Alberta, where our grid is powered by natural gas mostly, and
I can certainly inquire through our program
Okay.
coordinator if there's higher level conversations or where they've run into this with other projects.
yeah, it might be worthwhile, going forward, that we draft a letter to them and just outlining the challenges that we're having meeting the requirements, because like you said, we wouldn't be the only one in Alberta, so just an awareness. Okay, so we'll, if there's no further questions, just have a motion that council accepts this report as information. Councillor Wing?
Thanks, Mayor Barkley. I would move that council accept this report for information.
Okay, thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. Oh, correspondence and information. I did that survey the other day on the recall rules. I would highly recommend everybody do that if they can. And we'll just have a motion, please, to accept the correspondence as information. Councillor Maceros?
Thank you. I'll make that motion.
Thank you. All in favor? Okay, carried. And then we will go into councillor reports, and we'll begin with Councillor Dunham today.
Thank you, Barclay. Mayor Barclay, my report is there. A lot of the committees and boards that I'm on have not been meeting as of late, so I just have the one entry.
That's fine, thank you. Councillor Bates? Or Wing, I'm sorry.
Thanks, Mayor Barclay. My report is attached as well. Just wanted to add one little piece. On July the 17th, RDR Mug went for a very interesting tour at Nova Chemicals, which was focused, of course, on water. We followed up with a tour of what's currently the proposed Ardley Dam site in Lacombe County. Since that time, we've received a copy of a brochure, a report that was written by what then was the East Central Irrigation Association. It was titled the Red Deer River Irrigation Development. It was dated 1954, so this is not a new project by any means. However, at that time, it was estimated to be worth $20 million as opposed to $2 to $4 billion now, so just very interesting.
Speaking of price increases. Wow, it's interesting. Councillor Bates.
Yeah, my reports are, I spoke a little bit to a couple of the items last week. I do have one question through to Councillor Wing. Did RDR Mug decide to put in an official statement relative to the water survey at all that would say this is their opinion as an organization?
They did not do one as an organization, but certainly every member participated in it, as well as the staff. Rudy did participate as well. So they did not do one as an association.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Maceros.
Thank you, Mayor Barclay. My report is attached as well.
Okay, thank you. And Councillor Hystad.
Thanks, Mayor Barclay. My report is attached, and I just want to tell all of you councillors, mayor, administration, this new technology has been great. To use it for the first time, it's much better. Thank you.
That's good to hear. Thank you. And my report's attached. I also just want to bring to our attention and through our CEO, Water Ski and Wakeboard Canada have inducted or will be inducting Jarrett Llewellyn along with Chris and Dawn into the Hall of Fame in August. Had some correspondence a few months ago from Chris that this could be coming for Jarrett. Didn't say anything about herself, but I think I would love to see the town of Innisfail do something to recognize this achievement. And guess I would ask that direct administration, I don't know if you want a motion, CEO Becker, but to direct administration to reach out to either Water Ski Canada or Chris and see if there's something that we could be doing in our community, maybe in August, if maybe Jarrett will be around for a while, and it would be nice, like I don't know, community barbecue or something to acknowledge this accomplishment, because it's pretty significant.
I don't think I'd require a motion right now, Mayor Barclay. I think we can do that initial research and come back to you with some information.
Yeah, okay, no, perfect, thank you. Okay. So we'll move into upcoming events. Just have a motion, please, to accept these upcoming events as information. Councillor Bates.
Yeah, I'll move that. Just wanted to add one. Don't think it's in there. September 10th is a Mountain View Water Commission meeting.
Okay, thank you. Just have somebody, please, did you make the motion as well? Okay.
Yeah, I moved
Okay,
it,
thank you.
added.
All in favor? Carried. Okay, and we will have a motion to go in camera, please. Councillor Wing?
Make that motion, Mayor Barclay, to go in
Thank you.
camera.
All in favor? Carried.